on both. Huge developing stories today.
Enormous, and both in the same day.
Yeah.
And if you want to know how much Deuce McAllister meant to this team, if you were in the Superdome this year, the Saints called his name. The Saints fans called his name when he was on the field. They called his name when he was off the field, too. How many people can you say that about? It was not a shocking departure nor an acrimonious one, but it's still a momentous one. No current player is more synonymous with the Saints than Deuce McAllister, and as of today, he's no longer a Saint. The team's all-time leading rusher says it came down to a difference of opinion between he and the Saints about how productive he can still be. He had a limited role last season, carrying the ball just 107 times for 418 yards. Just 6 weeks ago, McAllister underwent arthroscopic surgery on his left knee to clean out some cartilage. McAllister, who was slated to make more than $7.3 million next season, says right now he could not pass a physical, but he's currently rehabbing the injury, and he's hopeful he could play up to 3 more years in the league. In customary McAllister fashion, he handled the announcement with dignity and humility.
A lot of times, I guess this is a little odd, you know, when a player gets released to have this sort of deal done, but, you know, there's no animosity between myself and the Saints. You know, I'm thankful, you know, and I'm happy that they would allow this to happen, and happy that they would allow me just to tell everyone thank you for the opportunity that I've been given.
McAllister says it's possible he could test the free agent market, and if the Saints improve their salary cap situation, could return to the Saints at a lower salary. GM Mickey Loomis says the team has left the door ajar, but that it's not likely. And the other big story we mentioned.
While fans will miss Deuce McAllister on the field, off the field, the Mississippi native who makes his year-round home in the New Orleans area says he'll still be active off the field. Through his Catch-22 charity foundation, Deuce has donated millions of dollars in countless hours of his own time, helping make people in this region make their lives better. From giving out food after Hurricanes Katrina and Gustav to his annual charity golf tournament, which benefits Children's Hospital, McAllister never shies away from giving back and says even though he'll no longer be a Saint on the field, he'll always be one off the field.
We're still going to do some things here. We'll still be a part of the community. You know, I'll still be a part of this community here in New Orleans, as far as not only a fan and a resident, but as well as someone that does whether it's business or community events here. We'll still be a part of it.
A lot of people said earlier in the show, it was a decision that surprised no one but disappointed everyone. Despite its inevitability, the departure of Deuce McAllister from the Saints was still a painful one. Juan Kincaid with more.
Deuce McAllister's time as a New Orleans Saint has come to an end after 8 seasons. The team releasing him earlier this afternoon. Deuce called it an honor and a blessing to play for this franchise for so long.
The New Orleans Saints is the only team that I really know as far as in the professional league. You know, you move up from high school to college, and, you know, you want to stay with one team your whole career. And, you know, we never know what may happen. You know, I may get to a point where I can't play, you know, where the rehab is too tough, and, you know, I can't just beat that cycle, and then you're talking about maybe retiring. So this may be that final time, but, you know, until that day comes, as far as I know I can't do it anymore, then, you know, I still want to go.
This is as tough as it gets. You know, I've never been anywhere where a player's been so well respected and well received, and has accomplished so much, and then, you know, we've got to make a tough decision.
I think it's just a confluence of a lot of factors. The injuries certainly, you know, the level of contribution that he has, you know, to our team, and you know, the performance level, the contract, certainly where we're at, you know, in terms of our salary cap and our resources. So it's really no one thing. It's a lot of things, and what makes it, you know, particularly difficult is the fact that it's Deuce.
For the Saints, this wasn't just about getting Deuce more opportunities to carry the ball next season. It was more about a cost-cutting measure. The team will save over $4 million on this year's cap. With the Saints, I'm Juan Kincaid, Channel 4 Eyewitness Sports.
Now, Fox 8 Sports with Eric Ritchie.
Say all good things must come to an end. You know, obviously, this is a day that, as a player, that you dread.
It is being released, and this morning it happened to Deuce McAllister, the Saints' all-time leading rusher. McAllister met with reporters after the Saints made their decision. He says the decision basically boiled down to a difference of opinion on how much he could offer the Saints on the field next season. 6 weeks removed from arthroscopic surgery to his left knee, Deuce says he couldn't pass a physical today, but very much intends on playing next season.
Yeah, I mean, that's the goal. You know, I still, I guess, have that itch to play. You know, I still want to play. I still feel like that I can contribute and help a team. So, you know, the most important thing for me right now is just continue to get healthy.
Now, the move will save the Saints about $5 million in the salary cap, and combined with the release of David Patton, will put the team under the salary cap.
We're coming closer to the end of the league year, and you know, there's some salary cap rules and some issues that happen when the league year ends, and so we needed to make this move before that time.
Regardless of where his career path takes him, we're all of us huge Deuce McAllister fans. This is as tough as it gets. I mean, this is as tough as it gets. You know, I've never been anywhere where a player's been so well respected and well received.
Majority of this show will focus on the Saints' all-time leading rusher, Deuce McAllister, released today by the Saints. And that's where we lead off on Fox 8 Sports Daily.
I guess I just want to start by to the New Orleans Saints organization just for giving me this opportunity, to Mr. Benson and Miss Benson, Miss Rita LeBlanc, Coach Payton, Mickey Loomis, even the guys, Randy Mueller, you know, Jim Hazard, just for giving me the opportunity to be a New Orleans Saints. Say all good things must come to an end. You know, obviously, this is a day that, as a player, that you dread to happen. You know, but if you don't go out on your own terms, this is eventually, you know, a possibility that this may occur. You know, and to the fans of the New Orleans Saints, you know, it's been a blessing. It's been an honor just to be able to play every Sunday, Monday, or Thursday, whatever day it may have been, and just to hear my name, as well as my teammates' name, to be called. And the good and the bad times that we've obviously had together, you know, I think from the obvious, from going through a situation like Katrina, and then having an opportunity in '06 to play for an opportunity in the NFC Championship game. Just to have all those things happen to me and for me, I've been blessed. I've been blessed, and I just want to tell everyone thank you. You know, a lot of times I guess this is a little odd, you know, when a player gets released to have this sort of deal done, but, you know, there's no animosity between myself and the Saints. You know, I'm thankful.
You think you'll be playing somewhere next season?
Yeah, I mean, that's the goal. You know, I still I guess have that itch to play. You know, I still want to play. I still feel like that I can contribute and help a team. So, you know, the most important thing for me right now is just continue to get healthy. Next step is just to continue to rehab. I had a scope about 6 weeks. It'll be 6 weeks on Thursday. So just continue to rehab and get that stronger. It's just basically removing some cartilage. You know, that was causing me some problems as far as the knee was swelling up earlier this year. So hopefully we have that rectified. So that's basically the next step, is just to continue to get stronger. If you're a player, you want it more. You know, if you're a player, you want it more. And, you know, that's a quarterback, a wide receiver, or, you know, even a defensive end. You know, you want sacks. You know, but as an offensive player, you want the ball. You want to be involved. I mean, but at the same time, it has to be in a role that I'm helping. You know, it has to be in a role that I'm actually being successful and helping a team. You know, it would be naive for myself to say that, you know, I'm still that 25, 30, you know, carry type of back. You know, it's going to be in the best interest of the team, and, you know, that's where I guess I just have to try to find a niche that kind of fits for myself. Outside of the Super Bowl, that's probably the only thing left that I have to accomplish. You know, I've been to the Pro Bowls. You know, I've had success as far as being the starter, being the kind of quote-unquote bell cow running back. You know, my only goal now is just to win a Super Bowl. I just try to do it the right way. You know, and I think a lot of people have respected it. You know, whether it's just going to a basketball game and all the fans yelling and screaming my name, you know, you're thankful for it. But at the end of the day, you know, I just tried to go out there and make plays on Sunday. The Philly game will always be special as far as the NFC as far as the divisional game. That will always be special for me. But I think the game, probably my first touchdown against Atlanta. First touchdown against Atlanta, it was a sweep left, 54, 56 yards, something like that. You had, I think it was Cal Turley pulling. So it was pretty special. It's definitely a shock. I mean, and I understand that in some ways it may hurt to a lot of fans, you know, but at the same time, I want to continue to support the New Orleans Saints. You know, they were hopefully a Saints fan before I got here, and they'll continue to be a Saints fan once I'm gone. There's no animosity at all on my part, you know. It just didn't work. You know, at the end of the day, it didn't work. But at the same time, you know, I'm gonna remember the good memories that we've had. If things work out where we can get back under, and you know, there's not another back that's available that the team likes. You know, I think the backs that they do have here, you know, are capable of getting it done. But you know, if I'm still available, I may be available.
Are you still possibly facing a 4-game suspension? Could that deter teams from signing you, do you think?
I mean, that's still pending. You know, that's something that's still pending, and that may deter teams. But, you know, even when it happened, you know, we felt confident that the appeal process would go through for us. So, you know, there's no shortage of confidence that it still will not go through. Yeah, I can see myself being a part of this organization in a non-playing role. You know, the coaching side of it, I don't know if that's it. You know, those coaches put in a lot of time. They put in a lot of long hours. But, I mean, it may end up working out that way. I mean, because this will always be home. You know, even if it works out that, unfortunately, I may have to go with another team, New Orleans will always be home for me.
Deuce said he brought the sunglasses to his farewell news conference today, but never had to use them. He may not have broke down today, but the numbers he leaves behind sure worth shedding a tear for. Look at these numbers. 6,996 yards. That's first all-time. I haven't been able to say that all day. You get the idea. He's first all-time in not only rushing yards, but carries. He broke Dalton Hilliard's all-time club record for touchdowns this past season against Green Bay, ends his Saints career with 55, and his total yards ranked second to only Eric Martin. All right, time for our first break here on the Daily. Deuce is done as a Saint. How much did Mickey Loomis and head coach Sean Payton, how did they react to his release? Well, we'll tell you next when Fox 8 Sports Daily continues.
A confluence of a lot of factors. The injuries certainly, you know, the level of contribution that he has, you know, to our team and you know, the performance level, the contract certainly, where we're at, you know, in terms of our salary cap and in our resources. So it's really no one thing, it's a lot of things. And what makes it, you know, particularly difficult is the fact that it's Deuce and everything that he's meant to, you know, our club and the city. You know, that's what it comes down to. That's what made it really difficult. We've been talking about this for a number of weeks. You know, our first visit was after the season, and you know, we talked about it then, and you know, I wanted to be really respectful to Deuce, and wanted to make sure that the timing was good for him as well. But you know, we're coming closer to the end of the league year, and you know, there's some salary cap rules and some issues that happen when the league year ends, and so we needed to make this move before that time. We've left that door ajar, and you know, I've had discussions with Deuce, and I've talked to his agent about you know, that possibility. You know, I think that I wouldn't call it likely, but you know, we've left that door ajar to see what happens. You know, as we get farther into this year and his rehab and where he's at and where our team is, and you know, I'd never say never, particularly when it comes to Deuce McAllister.
Loomis went on to say he was rooting for Deuce to make it. And after he left the podium, head coach Sean Payton was up next. Let's bring in the man who sat right next to me at the news conference today, Fox 8's Sean Fazan. Sean?
Well, Eric, it's something we all expected to happen, but it still didn't make it any easier when it actually did. Deuce McAllister said goodbye to the New Orleans Saints today. Afterwards, his head coach spoke about his time with one of the most popular players in team history.
The unique thing about this community is I think there's a closeness that the fan base has to the players, coaches, everyone in the building, in that it's a fairly small community where people in general have access to on a day-to-day basis, any members of our team or coaching staff. You know, for the last 4 or 5 months when I'm out going to eat or with my family, and I can't tell you how many times that a fan says, hey, keep Deuce. He epitomizes what we're looking for in a player. If you can find a Deuce McAllister that plays in the secondary or in the defensive line or in the offensive line or any other position that suits up on the field, then you found something. He's got that unique ability to touch or make eye contact with the person in the back left of the room, the person that's up there cleaning the coffee room right now, all the way down to feeling very comfortable talking with Mr. Benson or the commissioner. And that doesn't exist with not only a lot of players, it doesn't exist with a lot of employees in our league. In a football game, that Saturday or Sunday, whenever we played that game, you know, there was a player, Deuce McAllister, took our team on his back, and I think there were several lead changes in the game, but clearly, if you tried to equate what he did in terms of basketball, you know, he hit about 7 3-pointers there in the fourth quarter, and we just kept feeding it to him. That's one of many special moments, but certainly I think one that that you look back on and we'll be able to tell our children about, because it was a culmination of a lot of special things that season, and him being at the forefront was critical.
And Eric, if you recall, Deuce rushed for 143 yards in what was his first ever playoff game. Sometimes it's hard to measure the importance of one guy to a team with numbers, but here's an interesting stat. Since Sean Payton took over as head coach, Deuce has rushed for over 100 yards in a game 5 times. Their record in those games, a perfect 5-0.
Sean, thanks. Nice stat. So our question, what's up with the Saints releasing Deuce McAllister? I was on the West Bank doing a story on the reopening of Lakewood Golf Course when I first heard the news that a news conference had been scheduled at the Saints complex in 45 minutes. As I made my way to Airline Drive in Metairie, I started thinking about what questions I wanted to ask Mickey Loomis and Coach Payton, and how was I going to track down Deuce McAllister. But when I got to the Saints complex, guess what? Much to my surprise, there he was. Fresh off the news, he was just released. It was actually his idea to speak to the media, and the Saints obliged. And guess what he wanted to do? Thank everyone. The fans, the team, Tom Benson, Rita Benson LeBlanc, even Jim Haslett. It was another classic case of Deuce being Deuce. The reason why I think he didn't get too emotional today, much like many of us, we all knew this day was coming. Every fan, every teammate, everyone has their own favorite Deuce McAllister memory. One of my favorites actually came just about an hour ago. As you might expect, the phones at Fox 8 have been blowing up all day. One fan that just won an event had a pretty good idea for all he's done for the Saints on the field and for what he's done with his Catch-22 Foundation off the field. Let's change his name, the caller said. Instead of Deuce, let's call him Uno, because for most all Saints fans, he's numero uno. Deuce McAllister, what is up? That's our take. When we return, we'll get another point of view. WIST Radio's Eric Asher, AM 690's own, joins us in studio. His take coming up. Welcome back to this special edition of Fox 8 Sports Daily. I'm Eric Ritchie, joined by another Eric Asher from AM 690 WIST Radio. Eric, you're a fan of this show. You're a fan of the big back. I know that's something that you've always been an opponent for. Tell me a little bit about this move with Deuce McAllister, the Saints' big back, and the Saints, as he said, bell cow for the better part of a decade.
Well, I think one of the things that the Saints lacked this past season is the opportunity to have Deuce healthy for the entire year, and not knowing that Deuce was not healthy, not going out and getting a big back. You know, when you look at what the Saints have been able to do with their offense, with the smallish kind of hybrid type backs, they work obviously when the offense is wide open. But when you got to get down and dirty, when you have to get where you have to get the tough yardage, or where you get into the playoffs where the weather might not be a good thing for you, you got to be able to have a big back that can run the football. And this is something the Saints are going to have to either do through free agency or the draft. They've got to get somebody that can run between the tackles, a big guy that can carry the load.
Now, Deuce said today that if he had to take a physical, he couldn't have passed it. 6 weeks removed from arthroscopic surgery on his left knee. in your opinion, what's next for Deuce McAllister? Will we see him in the NFL this upcoming season?
I don't think there's any doubt in my mind that we'll see him in the NFL. I think that he's going to be with a team that has a grass field, that has a grass home field. I think he's going to play, and I think he's going to play well. I mean, he's got to get healthy, and you know, when you look at Deuce's career, he's always been a guy that's been able to bounce back. It's incredible that he's been able to come back from 2 injuries to his knees and be as effective as he has been. So I fully expect to see Deuce McAllister back in the NFL.
Now you're talking about the backs that the Saints have right now, and obviously Reggie Bush, Pierre Thomas. They feel good about what they have there. You talked a little bit about it in one of your answers, but what's next for the Saints for a running back?
Well, first of all, in the draft, they got to go defense, defense, defense. So what you're probably looking at is an undrafted free agent or being able to make a move through a trade to try to bring a big back in. Again, you can find these guys. They're out there, especially because there's not going to be an every down back. It's going to be a specialty back. It's going to be a guy that can get the tough yards for you on 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, or when you're around the goal. So I fully expect the Saints, that'll be on the Saints' wish list this offseason.
You're a huge salary cap guy. You know more about that than anybody I've ever met. Now with the move with not only Deuce and David Patton, are the Saints where they want to be? I know they're under the $123 million salary cap, but do they make any more moves?
Oh, I think they make a lot more moves. I think you'll see guys like Jamar Nesbitt, Brian Young. I think you'll see some seasoned veterans that are going to be released. I think they're going to try to restructure Mike McKenzie's contract. He's at $6 million against the cap this year, and I think what they're going to try to do is try to work a deal with him to be able to, so he can keep that bonus money that's due him this year and be able to spread a contract over the long term. If that doesn't happen, they'll release Mike McKenzie as well. So the Saints got a lot of moves to do with their seasoned veterans. Some of those guys hurt, some of those guys a little long in the tooth.
We're joined by Eric Asher from AM 690 WIST. And Eric, 2 for Tuesday, big time today in the area. The Hornets trade Tyson Chandler to Oklahoma City for basically what comes that brings an end to a wild day in the local sports scene. Tyson Chandler is an Oklahoma City Thunder, just doesn't sound right. Deuce McAllister is no longer a New Orleans Saints. For all of us here at Fox 8 Sports, I'm Eric Ritchie. Thanks for watching. Good night.
When I was drafted back in 2001, you look back and say, you know, well, the Saints, they're a team with talent, but they're not a good team. You know, I don't think you can say that anymore. And
when this game ends for him, the success that he's had up until this point will continue in whatever he chooses to do, because he gets it, and I think the fans appreciate that most.